Hey everybody, today's going to be a little bit of a different kind of video. I'm going to really dive in to support you in how to interpret your human design chart. So what we're looking at here is the output for my chart that I generated on my website. So the link will be below here later in the video as well, and you can find it in the description below this video. And I really wanted to just give a visual representation of how to describe this. So if you were to decide to download this report, there's a lot of explanation of how human design is really step one of step one. And to put this into context, and human design for me is the first thing I do with any client I work with, and it's the main thing I focus on in my life because it really is how you're designed uniquely to move through the world, to make decisions, to be in your natural genius. So when this is the foundation of how you're making decisions of what relationships to be in, what opportunities to go after, what business partnerships to join, etc., then when you're following that unique design, everything else falls into place so much easier. So instead of addressing the symptoms, it's really about focusing on the root of how you've learned to move through the world, how you've learned and been taught to make decisions that is not in alignment with who you are, and then to first notice that gap and then to return to who you are. So this kind of shares the Phoenix method and how human design fits into that, and this process of coming back to your truth. And human design really is your map to your truth. And it is a powerful system, but when you look at it for the first time, it could be really challenging to understand. So there's a lot of different things here. This is my chart, and if you were to generate yours on my website, you would see your chart here. And then on the next page, you'd see your chart properties. So your type, your strategy, your authority, signature, not self-deemed, definition, profile, incarnation cross. So we are going to focus today on mostly the type and how to interpret that and a couple other things at a high level as well. Like the centers, for example, but I'll let you read this on your own. So the 9 centers, you can pause the video and read this here now as well. Each center has a theme. And when the center is defined, meaning colored in, so wherever you have a defined center, that's basically saying that the energy flows consistently through you in between two centers. So for example, I have these two centers defined, my sacral center and my splenic center, which we can see here. Sacral center and splenic center. So these two are defined, which basically means that my energy is always going to flow consistently between these two centers in a very predictable way that I can learn to feel and I can learn to understand and count on and rely on. While I don't have a consistent energy flow to or from my solar plexus center, which is my emotional center. So the way my emotions happen can be a little bit more unpredictable, can be a little bit more erratic, or and that might have me, for example, avoiding conflict or avoiding sharing uncomfortable truths. So but it's also a really powerful place, these undefined centers, these open centers. So when you look at the white centers of your chart, I have 3, but you may have anywhere from all 9 centers could be white if you're a reflector, all the way to just one center being white. Now, that there's such a wide range of possibilities, but your white open centers are the centers where you do not have one consistent way of being in that particular area of life. And that's not a problem. It's not anything to fix, but it is something to be aware of. Because since you aren't consistent in that area of life, you may be comparing yourselves to others. You may be thinking you should be a certain way, or you should have a particular way for me of expressing my emotions. I may think there's something wrong with me, and for many years I did think that my emotional experience was too much, too erratic, crying at commercials, or like um, intense anger rising up really quickly. But I realized that as long as I can be in tune and understand it and trust the rest of my design, the parts of me that are consistent, as long as I can trust my design and follow my design, then I'll always be led to the right moments to share my emotions. And that I don't need a consistent emotional experience, and that it's actually a gift because I also can feel other people's emotional experiences moving through this portal of my open solar plexus center and actually enhance them and feel them even more intensely so I can really be even more deeply aware of what other people are feeling. So, but without awareness, it can be a really intense emotional experience, and you might think you should be more emotionally stable, you should be more this or that. And each of these centers has a conditioning theme. So, for example, an open ego center is center of money and self-worth and willpower and the material world. So if you have an open ego center, you may be conditioned to believe that you should know how to navigate the material world, or you should have one way of making money, or you should be better at the material world than you are. But in reality, there's just not a consistent way you approach the material world. And so those are just two examples. We're not going to go into each open center in this video, but I really want you to just get a feel to, when you look at your chart, to kind of explore the theme of the center and then explore how, if it's open in your chart, how you might be conditioned to believe you should be one way when actually you have a gift of flexibility of being a lot of different ways and sampling what works and understanding what does work and doesn't work, and then being a guide for others and really having this really flexible, amazing approach to life in these areas. Um, so, but for now, the flip side of that is the defined centers. So I have 6 defined centers and 3 undefined open centers. So my 6 defined centers are what I can count on. Now, one of the first things you're going to want to look for is your type. Now you're going to see this could be one of 5 things. It could be a manifesting generator, or just a generator, which is also referred to as a pure generator. So these are 2 subtypes of the generator type. Or you could see projector, or you could see manifestor, or you could see reflector. So your type is defined by a couple different things. So if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, that means you have this center defined. And this is about 70% of the population or so. And this is your sacral center. So this means a consistent life force, a consistent form of flow of energy that you can count on and wake up with every day. And it is your genius for you to listen to. So when you're thinking about how to interpret your chart, looking at type and then connecting it to the sacral center. If you're a generator, or if you're not a generator, if you're one of the other 3 types, projector, manifestor, or reflector, that means you do not have a sacral center defined. Basically, what that means for the 30% of you that are that, one of those 3 types, that you do not have a consistent source of life force that you always wake up with every day. This isn't a bad thing. This means that you're basically not designed to always be using your energy. You're not going to have a consistent source, so don't try to. You're going to be surrounded by generators because 70% of the planet are generators, because we're the ones that are here to do things, to get things done, to move the energy. While projectors, you're here to be guides for the generators, to really notice when we're using our energy a little bit ineffectively, which is when you have an open sacral center, that's really supportive for a generator, because you have that portal to really be that guide, because you feel the energy, you feel how it's used effectively, how it's used ineffectively as you move through the world and observe and witness. For the manifestors, you have while you don't have your sacral defined, you'll have one of these 3 other motor centers: the root, the solar plexus, or the ego defined. And somehow the energy of these 3 will be connected through to your throat center, which is the center of expression and manifestation. So this basically means that you still have a different kind of energy, either emotional energy that drives you, pure drive and motivational energy that drives you, or egoic willpower energy that drives you to manifest. And you can manifest very quickly into the world, but you still don't have a consistent source of energy. So for you, you're here, 8% of the population are the manifestors, and you're here to really initiate and inform ideas, get things started, get things rolling, but also inform others of what you're creating, what you're doing, so you enroll them in your vision and remove resistance from your path. So you can kind of see what kind of energy is your main energy to manifest based on which of these 3 centers is connected to your throat. If it's the root, it would probably be through your spleen, or perhaps you have multiple centers, like the root and the solar plexus also connected to your throat. So The projector, you're 18% of the population, and you would notice in your chart that you don't have the sacral defined, and you also don't have one of these three motor centers directly connected to your throat. So this makes you not here to be in the action as much, although you will be in action. And this doesn't mean to sit back on the couch completely, but it does mean that your aura is going to naturally attract invitations for your wisdom. While the generator's aura is more pulsing, it's going to attract invitations for use of their energy and opportunities to use their energy. The projector aura is going to, you're very, if you're living your design, you'll slow down and not try to do as much, and you'll be focused and you'll be absorbing the world, and mm, you'll be attracting invitations naturally. And then you'll be able to trust your authority to which you can see on this page here when you generate your report. And in my case, my authority is a sacral. If you're a projector, it won't be a sacral. It will either likely be emotional, splenic, self-projected, and perhaps even ego authority is possible. So, and also environmental or mental authority is the other one that you could be if you're a projector. So lots of different options. But in the report, when you download it, I'm not going to go into all the authorities, but there's a page all about your authority. Whichever it is, it'll be explained here and how to really utilize it. So your authority is how you're designed to make decisions. And so when, as a projector, an invitation comes your way, you can trust in your inner authority, not your mind, to guide you to whether that opportunity or relationship or invitation to give your wisdom is correct for you. So reflectors, you have all of your centers white, which is a little bit different. So your report will be a little bit different as well, but you're about 1 to 2% of the population. And that basically means you're just reflecting the entire world, the people around you, and you're really reflecting back what the totality of what is happening. So you have a really bigger viewpoint, vantage point than most people. And in fact, your decisions are actually made with a lot more patience over actually a full moon cycle, a full 28 days. And there'll be more about that in your report. So the main idea here is when you're looking at your chart, you want to look at the defined centers, just looking at it as energy flow. So, and looking at the themes of the different centers and how your energy flows consistently in the ways that you can count on them to. Now, each of these channels and gates, so these 64 numbers are called your gates, and these are your channels that connect the two centers, have a different theme as well, and a different energy, a different genius that will is a little bit too much to go into at a high level how to interpret your chart, but in future videos we'll talk about the channels and gates as well, and to just right now at a high level understand that this is a unique energy flow, for example, between my sacral and my throat, meaning my life force and my energy and my expression and manifestation. So my life force and sexual energy as well, and throat center expression and manifestation. So when I'm following my sacral, when I'm really trusting my energy to guide me, when I'm as a generator, my strategy is to respond based on my sacral energy. So in that way, I will not be trusting what my mind says, but I'll be trusting my sacral energy to guide me, and then I'll be able to manifest things very quickly. So you can start to see and interpret your chart. And I really recommend you download the report on the website, and it gives you a lot of explanation about your unique strategy and type, your different ways for the generators. You'll get something about the sacral response and your authority for each different type as well, and your profile, which we didn't really talk about in this video because it's a little bit more complicated. But that's really this complicated thing is at a high level, that's what you're looking at, and how energy is uniquely designed to move through your body, your being, so that you can learn and remember how to trust it and not compare yourself to others and live other people's lives and kind of live into the conditioning of these open centers. To start to bring awareness to where you are trying to live like someone else and starting to live again as you're designed to live. So I hope this was helpful. Please leave any questions or comments below the video. I'm going to get back to all of them. And please download your report. It is free. You just plug in your birth information. I really created this because I saw a hole in the market, that there really wasn't a simple explanation of people's charts that they could take and use in their life immediately. And that's what this report does. It gives you actionable information that you can use immediately to start changing your life and living your design. So with all that said, Orion Ohev here, sending you lots of love. Hope to connect directly with you at some point, and hope you're having a beautiful, beautiful day.